twin city initiatives in Western countries and also some of the countries in Asia to be a partner up with those future city initiatives for Ukraine. So we're thinking about between 15 or 20 cities to support and working together as partners for the Ukrainian smart cities in the end. I'm not quite sure how many people mention about the smart city kind of concept, philosophy, vision, and everything. We are actually convincing the leadership of the municipalities and central governments it should be human centricity, because I know a lot of people mentioning and also really focusing on the technologies. But just like a human being, the technology has to be evolved. So we are trying to build up a very strong ecosystem to support the future cities based on the interest of the future generation. But which means the people needs to play and also working together with other generations and as a leadership position. So we bring some sort of a data-driven economy and environment-friendly ecosystem and technology innovation. And most important thing is about the cultural contents. It should be supported to achieve the specific goals to the end regarding the human centricity model. We also working together with the UN organizations in terms of SDGs and ESGs, and some of them is really specific goals. We trying to work together with some of the organizations in terms of our missions. As you probably know, ESGs and climate change is one of the fundamental goals to achieve the specific goals for the cities. And after pandemic, there might be some kind of the problems from housing and also the security and the smart I think that those are the issues and concerns are really important to the futuristic cities as an agenda. I'm going to skip this part about the references to global smart city practical cases. Just like in a nutshell, I think that more smart cities should be focusing on the people's behavior and also their track record to be reflected on the smart cities in the future. I think that Indonesian governments might be interested in the building of the small city or mega city initiatives. I was told that the capital city of Indonesia should be, relocated in the Brunei Islands. So it will be mega city or capital city initiatives, government-driven projects. As you can see here, the greenfield. I think the new capital city project in Indonesia, certain cases, I think in maybe European cases are much more, also the urban regeneration. So instead of the building of the new city projects, we're trying to fix the problems from the urban perspectives. And our point of view, our standpoint on smart cities should be combined between greenfield and brownfield in the end. Cognitive challenge program that I was involved myself in London. So we're trying to change something intelligent model in the financial district in London. So cognitive challenge programs actually stem from the city based on cognitive science, which is AI city or intelligent city. The one distinctive model comparing to other smart cities around the world, this one is really focusing on startups and disruptive technologies. So that we basically brought up the more than 1,000 candidates, and we finally selected 100 companies, and where they went through the diverse core programs for 2 years, and 36 companies selected as a final MVP and winners. And most of them, they just grew up like very successful cases. And some of them, they become unicorns. And based on that, I was also appointed as a smart city master planner for the South Korean National Smart City pilot projects. So I was fully responsible for Busan Smart Cities, which is also the greenfield projects. And I just built this smart city to cover the maximum 100,000 people as a population. It's located nearby the international ports, but the biggest mission is how to utilize the water and data, and also most important thing is about the innovation ecosystem in it, so that the city can grow independently, also sustainable. And this will be kind of look in the next 4-5 years. Maybe you can travel there. You can just take a look at it as kind of model for the future. Let's get this part, this one too. So Huan Kian District. So we, my organizations and also the Hanoi City government agreed on to build up smart city initiatives 2 years ago. So we're targeting about 2026 or 27 to achieve the specific goals and to bring the engines of economy, like future economy, into this area. And another missions for Ukrainian smart city, which is a sustainable cities in the future, but it will be built up together with multiple cities in the UK, the European countries, and also the United States. So it's digital twin initiatives. So the vision is to rebuild Ukraine based on twin city initiatives, and it will be built by piece. For example, one of the cities, for example, in Phoenix in Arizona, can work together with the potential projects together with other, the multiple cities in Ukraine and also other cities in the US and EU countries. And most important missions out of this, and we actually defined some of the major themes and technology applied to the, for example, Hanoi smart cities. We are focusing on smart mobility, digital smart cities, Web3 based on the digital transformation focus one. And digital twin is also the mandatory thing to kick off the projects much more in details. It will be, testified into, for example, 1 to 2 years, that it will be replicated in the physical way after that. And safety and living is also the one of the great components and to support the, the satisfaction of the lives of the citizens, or some people just frequently visiting the specific cities. Energy efficiency is also the combined with the topics with ESGs and climate change. And the smart water. I think a lot of cities around the world, they are basically connected with water resources. So we're trying to redefine how to utilize water, or maybe how to, support the any kind of resources and to save water, or maybe water retreatment, or just creating some specific energies utilizing water, something like that. I believe that 70% of the smart city components is not really visible, because we are basically talking about how we bring the citizens or people engage themselves into the many different kind of activities happening in the cities in the future. But we also need some sort of the components of visible things, which is infrastructure, or maybe some of the methods to experience what smart cities are really about for the people. So based on the smart mobility and smart life and safety, smart energy and smart finance, we try to just bring some of technologies or solutions so that people can satisfy it. And as an example, Hanoi, Huan, Kiem smart city cases, we are building the smart city tech sandbox in it. And secondly, we're trying to engage how to use the data, how to collect data, how to analyze those data so that they can bring the maximum level of the services to the people and citizens. So future, as I said, the future meets in advance. The city is experienced 5 years ahead, which means the people can experience future cities, kind of early, as an early adopter. So we're trying to make that happen based on smart city projects. And people-oriented smart city design, because the design is one of the functions to support the futuristic cities everywhere. And R&D plug-in cities is also a very important thing because, a lot of cases in the Western countries, R&D is just R&D. We're trying to focus on R&D transform into commercialized achievements so that some small companies, and they can really successfully deliver the solutions or products, and so that the citizens can experience it much better. So based on the infrastructure or maybe some of the challenges in the city can be used as a kind of R&D plugin activities. So massive R&D tech sandbox or testbed is provided throughout these initiatives. And regulation-free zone, I'm not quite sure about the regulation level in Indonesia, as an example. But I do aware of some of the conditions in Vietnam or maybe Western countries. Sometimes the government's leadership, they need to lift some regulation, not only the smart city project, but also maybe city-wise or maybe nation-wise. But you need to go step by step. So we strongly recommend the leadership and how they can just design the regulation-free zone. Utilizing smart city projects. So most of the cases and some of the pilot projects should be covered or supported by the regulation-free bill or law systems and provided by the national government or maybe municipality level. Data is the most important thing. So because without data, the smart city cannot be built. Thing is, and what kind of challenges that city or maybe nationwide they experience, and they need to show the kind of rewarding systems so that more people can, without hesitation, they can share their own data, from the private perspectives. Also, we need to think about how to combine the data from the private sector as well as public sector. So we built also the payback systems, and as a reward that, healthy, the data can be collected and also be, making a meaningful contribution. Civic experience, innovation, technologies, as I mentioned, technology can be evolved all the time. So we are building the playground for any kind of technology solution can be evolved for the purpose of the maximize the pursuit of happiness among the citizens and also businesses and locally. And living lab, hub, and network, because I know most of the cities around the world, probably maybe more than 90%, 95% of the cities entire world, they're not financially independent, which means money matters a lot. So one smart city project cannot be really successful. Even though they feel like they're really successful, it will be another challenges for the city governments if they can maintain it more than 10 years and 20 years. So I believe that the smart city initiatives between the cities globally will be a much more meaningful way to do it. So one of the projects we are doing right now, utilizing Ukrainian smart cities or Vietnamese smart cities, we're trying to connect other cities in a multiple way, so that it will be creating the better chances or more opportunities, and to make the market sizable. And I'm gonna skip this part, but the thing is, as you know, in Hanoi, for example, the Hanoi city is, you know, surrounded by river and lakes, and so a lot of water as a resources, and that resources can be also, you know, a lot of attractions in a way of tourism, or, you know, the natural resources for the people and citizens to survive and live. And I think that kind of the water is, you know, sometimes can be displayed as eco-friendly water systems. So we're trying to build the better water environments to, you know, make the city much more sustainable economically and also the environmentally. And so the Smart City Tech Sandbox is a kind of very meaningful and also very strong ecosystem to support smart cities continuously. So we bring the innovation ecosystem in the city, so where you know, even small companies can be successful, like kind of they can grow up to the unicorn level, so that they can also help the cities to create more jobs, and very sizable jobs, or maybe very meaningful jobs, quality jobs for the city. So the city can grow up for the next level of, maybe they can just grow large enough in the future. So I think I'm done with it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jaewon, for the remarkable materials. Ladies and gentlemen, we currently provide the question and session for the on-site participants. For any of participants on-site who would like to convey the questions, please raise your hand. It seems that we haven't got any question, Mr. Jaewon, from the on-site. However, we have a couple of questions from online participants. First one coming from Mr. Ikhwan, institution of Samsung CNT. Good morning from Indonesia, Mr. Jaewon. How to start a smart city project in a new city, especially in property in Indonesia based on your experience from the other country?
That's very broad questions, but I think that you need to understand, you know, most of the cases. For example, like I'm Korean, but I actually I'm based in the US and UK at the moment. I see that kind of difference between the Western countries, the smart city initiative, and also the Asian smart city initiatives. But you need to figure out why you need kind of new city initiatives in the country, right? I'm not quite sure how many people understand some of the cases in South Korea, including Songdo or maybe Sejong, new capital city in South Korea, because they built first. They didn't think about what kind of people can be coming over to the city. And I think that if you draw the master plan or blueprints for the cities as a greenfield perspective, you need to think about kind of, you know, the you know, hypothesis and what kind of people will become as one of the biggest component of the city, as maybe stakeholders of the city, so that they can have more power to you know, help the city grow enough. I think that is a kind of very important missions for maybe the authority to you know, dealing with this kind of the initiatives. So I think that you need to think about the major components as a stakeholder cities, and then you need to think about, you know, infrastructure and also the technology and solutions. And I think that Indonesia has a lot of islands. It depends on the locations. If you think about the mainland and more population area, I don't think there may be probably less challenges. But if you think about building small cities in islands, that might be a challenge for the governments, because the commuting systems or transportation systems or maybe telecommunication system, that will be kind of necessary components to support the better small cities in islands.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. We carry on to our next question, Mr. Jaiwan. It's coming from Miss Nathania from Indonesia. The question is, if we talk about signal, let's say by wireless or cellular data, could you please tell us why most virus usually comes from wireless things, such as public wireless? And we talk about smart cities, we must be protected our system signal. How can you as government protect it while there is still much things broken system on it? Please, Mr.
That sounds like a very political thing. If I just got the question right, is it can you just like give me one more time about the summarize of the question again?
Okay, sure thing. So it's talking about the signal, either wireless or by the cellular data. In the smart cities environment, we do know that lots of IoT connected wireless. However, the governments, perhaps in most of developing countries in this context, still could not protect our security of each of IoT systems through the signal. So could you please explain how could we overcome this situation, maybe from your experience or developed countries?
It's still challenging even to the developed countries. And I think that, the GDPR cases, individual data, that is kind of the code that is regulated by the EU governments. And also we have very strong regulations on the sharing data from California state. Or other states in the United States, they also working on that these days. Because cracking the data or security on the individual data is kind of the biggest challenge all the time. So that's why, the one of the biggest function of the smart city is the collecting data and making them analyzed by the companies or individuals, or sharing the data together is very important. But at the same time, the cybersecurity is another challenge, because any kind of cracker can be advanced, easily, and protecting those data is always a big challenge and also costs a lot of money. So that's why you need to test the kind of this model, and before you apply the smart city, the wireless based kind of functions or solutions, everywhere. You need to define or maybe designate some specific town, district, or something like that. One of the examples in Israel, the cyber city town or city is actually called Beersheba. It's the city in the Negev desert. So they testing everything they want as kind of urban test bed or urban sandbox kind of model. I think that because Indonesia is a big country, I believe that it's more than 200 million people as a resident in Indonesia. So before you apply this kind of model, you need to test one of the sessions, or maybe how to protect those data from individual or maybe the businesses as a kind of cases. I do believe that it will be necessary more than 2 years as a test of pilot projects to protect, and maintain the very healthy environmental smart cities with those data.
Okay, thank you, sir. Fortunately, we still have one question from the online participants. It's still coming from Miss Nathania from Indonesia. I still have second question here. It's the topic of trust, public trust toward the government smart city system. What if you do as your position right now when the system getting into money taker, quote unquote money taker? We also need a sacrifice to do something in smart city. How can you achieve citizens' trust when it show a great opportunity? Please,
I
sir.
think that's a really a good question. To try to balance making the balance of stakeholders of smart cities as one of the major beneficiary, is not that easy. It's a very big challenge. And also tender systems in every country, they have the different models, right? And I just explained about the smart city tech sandbox is a kind of the minimum platform that protects the companies or individuals that have, the specific technologies or ideas. I think that the conventional way of a smart city building protocols in many different countries, they just going through the existing tender systems. So the winners, they take it all, and they outsourcing those kind of technologies or solutions and from the small companies. Eventually, the companies with technology solutions, amazingly, they're not really financially benefited from these initiatives. So Smart City Tech Sandbox is kind of the minimum protect platform for those who are going to make a meaningful contributions to the small city, to meet the specific goals of the residents or the citizens. I think that that we also the political decision-making process is required. And so Smart City Tech Sandbox is our idea in trying to convince the leadership of the municipality level or central governments, you got to do this, or it will be much better you just maybe bring them together. But it depends on the systems on local countries. I think that Indonesia is very dynamic countries. And also I do believe that a lot of the companies has a lot of different potentials. But the thing is they need to capture the opportunity throughout the government-driven project like smart cities. So I think that Smart City Tech Sandbox model can just bring the another added value for the country of Indonesia throughout this one, because I believe that more than 1,000 smart city projects is actually under construction everywhere around the world, but nobody remembers what kind of smart cities really popular or famous. I know the NEOM projects in Saudi Arabia is really the striking news to everyone around the world. The thing is, that is something different. NEOM project is, of course, the smart city or the greenfield projects, but we need to think about how to reshape the cities from the existing city. NEOM project is creating something scratch as a kind of big bundle of the greenfield projects. So a lot of money is coming in there, but even small city, they definitely they deserve to have an opportunity to the solving the problems they have. I think that every cities around the world, they have the right to change the cities, right? So I think that again, Indonesian cities, there's so many cities in Indonesia. It's the kind of decision making process required by the governments or maybe municipal governments. They need to define or maybe designate as a specific cities or towns or district so that they can test it no more than 2 years. And then they can make a decision to expand it or something different model along with the new policies, because policy is mandatory to support the successful smart cities in the end.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. The previous question was an end for our question and answer session. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's give warm applause to Mr. Jaewon Peter Chan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jaiwan.
Thank you.
Good morning from Indonesia. The honorable ladies and gentlemen, we carry on to our next agenda. It is sharing session about smart city initiatives implementation in Bandung City. Delivered by Haji Yana Mulyana SMM, Mayor of Bandung City. In this occasion, represented by Mr. Ganjar Setia, Coordinator of Technology Evaluation of Communication and Informatics Bureau of Bandung City. To Mr. Ganjar Setia, stage is yours.